Isn't it weird how old politicians think that certain lines that they throw out there are just like daggers? You know what? You're demented like Biden. Like, why is that? That's a killer line. That's a line. You're demented like Biden. So if I say like, you know what? Your face is like Trump's. Who cares? Who cares? Anyway, there's Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, walking the streets of New York in what's supposed to be some kind of celebratory or at least positive parade there. And once he was doing that, as you can imagine, someone heckled him. People yelled at him. People that don't like what he's been up to, considering he's been carrying former President Trump's water over these election fraud things, has been disbarred, has become a disgrace. As he's arguing with that guy in the crowd about whatever it is he said to him. So as he was discussing all this, he did point out how crime was down, and this is what he's apparently talking about because maybe that person said he's not as good of a mayor as their current one out there. So let's look at some of the details of what went down. So he said crime was down 55% under me. It's 40% under him. The comparisons is what he shouted while he was leaning over those barricades in references to Mayor Eric Adams and the recently released NYPD data. That's what he's always hung his hat on, is crime stats. That's everything he's ever talked about. So during his tenure at City Hall, Giuliani and then Police Commissioner Bill Bratton implemented a new data system for the NYPD. The system is credited with helping crime rates plummet in the mid to late 90s. So while there's this surge of crime in New York City, it was reported that gun violence and shootings fell last month compared to April of last year. So as Giuliani was arguing all this stuff, and he was talking about his record from 30 years ago and how much he's better than someone else, there was Eric Adams was also there as well. And according to this tweet here, there's a little bit more of a positive interaction back and forth with Adams. So here they point out that New York City mayor holding up "We Got This New York" sign and waving an Israeli flag, marching at the Celebrate Israel parade. That's what they were actually there for before Rudy Giuliani decided to do all that. And here's Eric Adams participating there. Let's watch the difference in these types of interactions.
Thank you very much for being with us. It's great to be here.
Lovely being here. Great parade.
And JCRC loves working with you and the whole team. We're great partners.
JCRC is a great partner for the city, and we appreciate all that they're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there they are marching. I mean, that could be a selectively chosen clip there, Jackson. I understand that because, yeah, the guy that's happy and running next to him will be that guy. You know, you could avoid being Rudy Giuliani in this situation that's hanging over barricades, looking like Grimace from McDonald's, talking and yelling at people and cussing them out, is just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it. But first, I'd like to point out that someone in the comments called him Booty Giuliani and Fuliani. You're hilarious. Now that's forever in my mind. But Rudy Giuliani, I think he has one of the biggest falls from grace that I personally have ever seen in modern times. I mean, because when he was mayor of NYC, I was extremely young. I was, so I really didn't experience a lot of that firsthand, didn't grow up in this part of the country, but he's largely responsible for the mob going down. He's largely responsible for that. He could have rolled into the sunset as, this glorious mayor who a lot of people liked, even though a lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people liked him, but then he kept getting more and more involved. And he got involved with Trump, and then he just kept going downhill and downhill to the point where now it's like, I guess he reaped what he sowed at the end of the day. I'm
trying to figure out why, as this has always been happening, like he actually was generally positively remembered, especially after 9/11. He was the mayor then. America's mayor, and he took that, and even when he was doing, I was like, oh, he's really milking this for all it is, and milk it fine. I knew who he is, but once for some reason he couldn't be settled. He had to move on and then push these election fraud conspiracies and then try and push back consistently. To this day, his stance is here when it comes to backing up and following Donald Trump. I just don't know what changed or happened to him. He's old and losing his mind, I guess, but just sit back and relax. You had like a bit of a legacy, I guess you can call it that. But now he's here yelling at people in New York City. I guess we don't have any more thoughts. I want to read one other comment, but these are all from earlier things. It's fine. Thank you guys for bringing that back up because I want to see if people were actually maybe there in New York or talking about what it is they saw from Rudy Giuliani.